Wait a minute, RuneScape actually has lore? This game has lore? As it turns out, RuneScape has pages upon pages of backstory. Now if you play this game anything like I do, then you would have never known this. It's no surprise that A Kingdom Divided is coming out soon. I did a little bit of research and I'm going to do my best to get you up to speed with what's happening in Kourend. As a wise man once said, I would start at the beginning, but I think I need to go back even further. The beginning of the Kourend lore takes us all the way back to when 3rd Age gear was just called Current Age, and all the gods were duking it out. A lot of citizens fled the mainland and founded the first of the 5 cities over in Kourend. Let me just speed you through some of this history. Originally, Kourend was just ruled by a single king. His lineage was eventually replaced by a council of elders. The elders were then replaced by the royal accord of Twill, so that means the monarchy's back in place, but this time it rotated between the 5 houses. A Shazen king ended up stealing all the power and began experimenting on people, which isn't really a good look. His elder guard ended up killing him, although his body was never found. Literally a few days later, a mage named Zarek, who looked suspiciously like a certain recently killed king, showed up and took over the land by way of murder and lizards. A lot of people ended up fleeing south and formed the Kingdom of Arlamore. A farmer started a revolution against Zarek and sent him into exile. So we're back to a monarchy, with King Farmer at the top. A lot of Game of Thrones stuff happened, including a civil war. A war also broke out with the Kingdom of Arlamore, but that was eventually quelled. That brings us almost to present day. The most recent king of Kourend passed away, leaving his daughter Rose next to take the throne. However, the Kourend Council was implemented to control Kourend until she became of age. The council has since declared Rose insane and said she was the one that actually killed her father, so they locked her away. The council is now permanent, and each of the current members have suspiciously won every election for the last 20 years. This is going to lead us into what you, as the player, has uncovered from questing. In X Marks the Spot, a man named Vios is going on a clue scroll adventure in Lumbridge, and you agree to help him out. You eventually find an ancient casket buried in a pig pen. You tell Vios, like, dude, bro, this thing is whispering to me like some eldritch being. And he's all, dude, don't worry about it, it's cool. So why Martin the gardener has a chest of unspeakable horrors in his pig pen, we'll never know. JK, they just put an article out about it. Next up, we have the client of Kourend. Our boy Vios has a client that wants to know about each of the houses on Kourend. You basically end up spying for him, and you find out that there's vertically challenged people, dirty people, soldier people with PTSD, people that unironically like sea shanties, and people that are hardly people. You also end up checking out the dark altar located in Arceus because the client seems pretty fascinated by it. Eventually you return to Vios and he becomes possessed by his client, who will not reveal his true identity, but he still rewards you with a voucher for friendship. Good for one hug. The depths of despair is a bit more straightforward. Lord Hosidius' elder son, Artur, yes Artur, not Arthur because why bother with an H, has gone missing. You investigate and you find out Artur ends up finding the lost Accord of Twill, so you and him safely return it to the hands of Lord Hosidius. Arceus also has a little mystery of their own going on. One of the citizens have died of natural causes. This is weird because they're immortal. You try to get help from the Kourend Council, but they don't provide any. You find out the Dark Altar is the source of their immortality, but the altar's power is failing. You're directed to seek out the Tassikal. They're basically an ancient race of rocks that gifted the people of Arceus with their secrets of immortality. You take about a 3-minute walk and end up finding them. The Tassikal are a little upset with Arceus and they hit him with the old Thanos line, but they do come around and they let you know that the Dark Altar's fine. It's just a device that's planted next to the altar that's causing the problems. You destroy the device and the day is saved. Our little friends over in
Lovakin
are having some troubles of their own too. You begin by talking to Lady Volcana, who is a very well put together individual, and find out that the Doors of Din are damaged. This is causing Wintertod Chat to leak out and poison the world. A blacksmith can repair the door, but you need to get him a special hammer first. So after a few simple puzzles, you retrieve the hammer, repair the door, and complete the quest. Okay, so Tale of the Righteous requires a nugget of backstory before we begin. Back in the day, there was an expedition to Mount Kidamordum that ended up being a pretty big failure for the kingdom. You begin this quest by speaking to a man named Phileas, a descendant of the leader from that expedition. He mysteriously received a journal that belonged to King Shazen VII. After some detective work and sleuthing, you come to the realization that perhaps the expedition was not a failure, and that King Shazen VII was hiding a sinister secret. You lead a new expedition up to the summit of the mountain and find a secret cave with an unstable altar inside. Your fellow expedition members come to a few minor conclusions here. King Shazin VII likely made the Lizardmen through experimentation. King Shazin VII and Zarek are probably the same person. And the unstable altar, in all likelihood, is extending Zarek's life, meaning he's still alive. Now these are all pretty outstanding accusations, and the current Lord Shazin doesn't accept your source of, "Dude, trust me." You return to Phileas to retrieve the journal that started the whole quest, but you find out he's gone missing, and his tent has been trashed. By the end of it, you're left with more questions than answers. Finally, we have ourselves the Queen of Thieves. You're recruited to help investigate a new gang popping up called the Saviors of Kourend. You bribe some poor hungry people with food, as a good person would do, and gain a connection to get you into the gang. You attempt to arrest the gang leader like the lawful good alignment you are, but not first before listening to her. She turns out to be the leader of Piscarilius and is pulling some Robin Hood stunts because the Kourend Council is corrupted. You believe her just enough to Skyrim stealth build yourself into Counselor Hugh's house, and find that she actually does have ties to literal demons with the cult of Yama. You have Counselor Hughes arrested, and Lady Piscarilius thanks you, but ominously mentions she'll call upon you in the future, as this is only the beginning. Before we do recap everything, I need to at least mention Architectural Alliance. There's a broken statue in Kourend, you get all the houses to work together, and then the statue is fixed, which is nice. I mean, honestly, it's no wonder the citizens are protesting the capital. Literal demons are in the Kourend Council. Even the ones that aren't corrupted wouldn't help Arceus when their citizens were dying. The Beast of Winter is escaping from its doors up north, and Vios's secret client is sneaking around just a little bit too much for my liking. And does anyone know where Zarek's been? I know he isn't done with this land. It's really hard to say, but all I know is that Kourend is going to face a difficult chapter ahead. But the houses have proven they can still work together. All hope is not lost. The original Accord of Twill has been reclaimed. This legal documentation puts the power back in the hands of the monarchy, if it's to be respected. Finding out where Rose is might shed some light on a few mysteries too. A lot is at stake, but only time will tell what's going to happen. And speaking of time, Papa Jagex wanted this video under the 8-minute mark, so my time here is pretty much done. I know you guys are going to enjoy the new quest, but I at least hope that you enjoyed listening to me talk about the history of Kourend.